The CSX LCL Subdivision in northern Kentucky can be a busy place to watch trains. You just have to know where to look. Formerly a Louisville and Nashville line, the initials LCL comes from the line's builder, the Louisville, Cincinnati, and Lexington Railroad, which opened the route in 1869. The line stretches 101.4 miles between Cincinnati and Louisville, averaging about 14 trains in a 24-hour period. Often, CSX will use both their LCL and Indiana subdivisions to run trains directionally. Trains taking the Indiana sub to Cincinnati operate over the Louisville and Indiana Railroad's main from Louisville to Seymour, Indiana, where they then turn onto home rails going east. The Indiana sub between Seymour and Cincy averages about 8 trains per day. Shorter sidings on the LCL make it difficult for long trains to meet. In fact, Bank Lick siding is the longest on the LCL and only extends 9,870 feet. So having both lines is ideal and makes it easier for CSX to operate trains directionally. Plus, if either main line has a service disruption, the Class 1 always has a backup main. On the LCL sub, there are many great places to take pictures of trains. However, the most notable location is Grange, Kentucky, where CSX trains share the main street downtown. Many small businesses are located along Main Street, and Grange has become a local hub for shopping, dining, and events, like this wedding party. The increased traffic means a lot of congestion whenever there's a train, and sometimes it causes road rage. But don't take our word for it. Just tune into the Virtual Railfan Grange camera on YouTube to watch the chaos unfold for yourself. On April 10th, 2021, we visited Grange to document 2 trains running down Main Street. Our first train was Southbound Manifest Train Q57510. This train originated in Cincinnati at Queensgate Yard and is bound for Nashville, Tennessee. It will work at Osborne Yard in Louisville before continuing further to the Music City. Under the new operating practice of precision scheduled railroading, CSX trains have become longer. The average train running through Grange is often in excess of 12,000 feet, whereas in the past, trains averaged between 5,000 and 8,000 feet long. These longer trains mean more congestion for the city of Grange, creating a lot of impatient motorists and pedestrians. About 20 minutes later, the northbound signal at the south end of the siding at Grange changed to clear, signifying that another train was approaching from the south. We set up our cameras at the north end of downtown, patiently waiting for the train to pass. In recent years, Grange has become increasingly welcoming towards the railfan community. In addition to Virtual Railfan's webcam, which has made the town famous worldwide, Grange is also home to a small train museum, which is located within the original L&N depot. The town also built a railfan viewing platform so that enthusiasts can watch trains at a safe distance. These additions only add to the appeal of Grange for the railroad photographer. In the distance, we could see the headlight of CSX Manifest Freight Train Q352 as it approached Main Street. Led by two ES-44 locomotives, with the lead unit being equipped with AC traction and the trailing having DC, the head end of the train would slowly roll through downtown Grange at a steady 10 miles per hour. Once the locomotives clear Main Street, the train may accelerate to 25 miles per hour. The Louisville to Chicago freight train takes a long, roundabout trip by way of Cincinnati. After working Queensgate Yard, the train then traverses the Toledo Sub to Deschler, Ohio, where it then takes the west leg of the Deschler Y to run onto the Garrett Sub. From Deschler, it's a straight shot west over the CSX Chicago line. Essentially, this train makes a giant reverse C shape between Louisville and the Windy City. This lengthy train of all auto racks originated in Louisville's Osborne Yard. The auto racks are likely hauling brand new Ford Escapes from the massive Louisville Ford assembly plant. Ford has been making cars in Louisville since 1913 and started production of the Ford Escape in 2013, along with the new Lincoln Corsair. Because of the automaker's nearby presence, the LCL sees a tremendous amount of auto industry traffic. This visit to Grange marked our first in over 5 years. The last time we visited was on January 2nd, 2016. We arrived in the middle of the night, hoping to photograph trains in the dark among the holiday lights. Unfortunately, we didn't see a single train until sunrise, but it proved to be worth the wait. Overnight, train Q241 suffered a locomotive failure north of Grange. Equipped with only 2 units, a single locomotive wouldn't be able to provide enough horsepower to handle the heavy train on its own. To remedy the clogged main line, Jacksonville decided to send a local crew with 4-axle power to save the day. To our surprise, a mother slug set was leading the train into town with former GP30 number 2280 on the point. Q241 is an as-needed North Bergen, New Jersey to Louisville, Kentucky auto rack train. The slug set was retired in 2019, number 7600 was retired and scrapped in 2017, leaving only C40-8W number 7886 in freight service today. About 30 minutes later, after seeing our first train, we caught southbound manifest Q503 as it followed Q241 to Louisville. Led by two -8 locomotives, this train is bound for Radnor Yard in Nashville, Tennessee. The Q503 originated in the Belt Railway of Chicago's Clearing Yard on December 31st. that we've reminisced about our first visit to Grange, let's get back to our most recent visit to northern Kentucky. On the night of April 11th, we decided to spend the night at the Radisson Cincinnati Riverfront Hotel. The 18-story structure opened as a Quality Inn in 1972 and later became a Clarion Hotel. Today, it features an upscale rotating restaurant on the top floor and is one of the most recognized buildings in Covington, Kentucky, thanks to its location near I-75, where tens of thousands of drivers pass by it daily. The building overlooks the beautiful Cincinnati skyline, and every room features an open-air balcony. For the rail fan wanting to document trains crossing the Ohio River, the Radisson provides the perfect vantage point. From our hotel room, we were treated to a grand view of the former Chesapeake and Ohio Railway Bridge. This 1,575-foot-long steel structure replaced an older bridge that was built in 1888 by a predecessor railroad. The current bridge was opened for rail traffic on April 3, 1929, alongside the original bridge on extended piers. The original bridge was sold to the Commonwealth of Kentucky and was later retrofitted as an automobile bridge. In 1970, the original railroad-turned automobile bridge was demolished. Construction of a new automobile bridge began later that year. In 1974, at a cost of $13.5 million, that's $68.7 million today, the modern-day Clay Wade Bailey Bridge opened for traffic. Today, the current C&O Railway Bridge remains open to CSX freight trains and Amtrak. The bridge's center span over the channel is 675 feet between piers. This impressive structure has likely seen over 1 million train crossings throughout its 91-year lifespan and will likely remain for many more decades to come. Originating across the river in Queensgate Yard, CSX train Q505 is bound for Louisville, Kentucky. 2 AC 4400s were in charge of today's train, with the second unit still wearing the Yellow Nose 2 scheme. The lightning stripe under the cab road number on unit number 429 signifies that it's equipped with AC traction. As the train makes its way into the Bluegrass State, we were treated to a view of the John A. Roebling Suspension Bridge. Originally known as the Cincinnati Covington Bridge, it spans the Ohio River and was opened on December 1, 1866. At the time, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world, with a 1,057-foot main span. It served as the prototype bridge for Roebling's most famous creation. 17 years later, in 1883, the Roebling-designed Brooklyn Bridge surpassed Cincinnati's suspension bridge length at 1,595.5 feet. Today, pedestrians use the 155-year-old Roebling Bridge to get between sports venues in Cincinnati that take place at either Paul Brown Stadium, the Great American Ballpark, or U.S. Bank Arena. It also gives them access to the many hotels, bars, restaurants, and parking lots in northern Kentucky. The bar and restaurant district at the foot of the bridge on the Kentucky side is known as Roebling Point. Check out that vandalized auto rack. We're pretty sure whoever unloaded that car lost their religion when they saw all of the brand new automobiles coated with spray paint. He must have thought that it was the end of the world as we know it. Just a few minutes past noon, CSX local train J767 could be seen slowly making its way across the C&O Bridge into Cincinnati. Powered by two SD40-3s, the train was headed for Queensgate Yard, where it would drop off its train and return south a few hours later. J767 is based out of Worthville, Kentucky, and brings cars to and from the Carrollton Railroad, a subsidiary of CSX that dates all the way back to L&N ownership in 1930. J767 is a Sunday through Friday local freight train with a typical length between 35 and 45 cars. SD40-3s are often the power of choice for this job. The two on this train are of L&N heritage, with number 4288 being a former SD40, which has a shorter frame, and number 4025 a former SD40-2. The lead unit was rebuilt in 2015 by Motive Power Industries in Boise, Idaho, while number 4025 was rebuilt in 2011 by CSX in Huntington, West Virginia. It's easy to see the differences between the two locomotives from this perspective, as number 4025 has a longer rear porch with an electronic handbrake stand, while number 4288 does not. According to the CSXT Historical Society, the Carrollton Railroad is a subsidiary of CSX, but it's maintained as an independent railroad operating with CSX equipment. The men working for the Carrollton Railroad are CSX employees working under employment contracts L&N had with the Carrollton Railroad. They are officially known as CSX employees working under the L&N Carrollton Railroad Agreement. As a result, the Carrollton Railroad employees have no system-wide seniority. Their seniority is limited to the Carrollton Railroad. Thanks to multiple steel factories, a chemical plant, and a coal-fired power plant, the Carrollton Railroad continues to be a profitable subsidiary of CSX. After catching J767, we left the hotel after receiving word that the CSX track geometry train was en route to Queensgate Yard out of Louisville. The train was coming off the LCL Sub at Latonia, a neighborhood in Covington, and onto the Cincinnati Terminal Sub, where it would cross over the Ohio River into Queensgate Yard. At the time, we had no idea what was going on, leaving us to ask the question,
Jacksonville, Queensgate, what the hell are ye doing?
Latonia is also home to the Railroad Museum of Greater Cincinnati, which features two nearly complete passenger train sets, one from the B&O Railroad and another from the Pennsylvania. Running as train W003, the geometry train was led by X-Mark GP40WH-2, number 9969. At Latonia Junction, the train stopped to pick up some CSX maintenance of way officials before continuing north. Number 9969 was originally built for the New York Central in July of 1967 as a straight GP40 before becoming part of Penn Central and Conrail. It was later sold to the Maryland Transit Administration and was extensively rebuilt for passenger service in the early 90s, receiving a new cab, Dash 2 electronics, and a head-end power generator. After 2 decades of commuter train service, Mark sold 9969 to CSX, which purchased the locomotive and refurbished it for geometry train service in 2013. A year later, it entered service with a modified YN3B paint scheme, which features a gray roofline to match the passenger cars it pulls. It also retained its operating Mars light instead of ditch lights. 4 years later, though, CSX added ditch lights since the Mars light was prone to mechanical failure. After catching the geometry train, we went back to Covington to document local J767 from the air. By mid-afternoon, the clouds had cleared and allowed beautiful rays of light to illuminate the city skyline. We hope you enjoyed this brief look at two of our favorite locations along CSX rails in northern Kentucky. With plenty of trains, it's no wonder the LCL is a rail fan favorite. We thank you for joining us for this rail fan adventure and look forward to bringing you more footage of CSX in the Bluegrass State. Until next time, happy railroading from all of us at Delay in Block Productions.